Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to yet another PlanHub monthly webinar. We're so excited that you're here. All right, looks like our participant numbers are climbing. So good to see you guys here. Feel free to drop in the chat, say hello, say where you're joining us from. We're just going to give it another minute or two to let others hop on and join us. I hope everybody's doing well. We're getting so close to Thanksgiving and Christmas, all the holiday fun. We're almost there. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for being here, everybody. Hi, Larissa, Tristy, Daniel, Chloe. All right, we got some Florida peeps, Texas. Hello, welcome. All right, we've got lots of Texas people today. I love it. All right, Carrie, I'm joining from Arizona as well. I'm in Scottsdale. All right, got some more Arizona peeps. Hey, Greg. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So good to see you here. All right. Gold Canyon, I love it. Good morning, April. All right, we'll just give another 30 seconds, see if we have any last minute stragglers joining us, and then we'll kick things off. Hello, Nate from LA. Joe and Philly, hello. Thanks for joining us. All right, shall we kick things off? Looks like we have about 90 people in here. That is so exciting. That means we are touching on a topic that is very important, especially as we go into a new year. This is going to be so great. So, hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another PlanHub webinar. We've been doing this new monthly series just because we want to support you guys and, help you grow in your business and give you the tools to help you do that. And today we're going to be touching on how to master your project workflow. So specifically, what are the things that you can be doing in your day-to-day to stay more organized, to save more time, and ultimately win more work? We know how crazy it can be when you're juggling a bunch of bids, a bunch of business at once, and how important it is to be organized in doing that, especially as you're scaling your business. So we're going to be going over the different tools we have within PlanHub and some just tips and best practices to really keeping things organized so your business can thrive and grow. All right, so today we have Jessica joining us. So, by the way, I'm Tiana. Forgot to introduce myself. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm the community manager here at PlanHub. You probably have seen my face on other webinars if you joined us. Our Growth Summit back in June, which was amazing. We just had our first in-person event in Dallas in October, which was amazing. So if any of you were there, hello again. And I'm so excited to be here today, hosting this webinar with Jessica. And speaking of Jessica, she is going to be our presenter today. She is one of our adoption support trainers. She's incredible. She's so knowledgeable. She knows our platform in and out. And she is an amazing resource to learning how to, master your workflow. And just two little fun facts about her. She's very passionate about helping construction teams stay organized and to win more work. So basically the perfect person to be going over all the content today. She's been working with contractors for quite some time now, and she talks to subs every single day, teaching them how to do better work and using our tools. So we're so excited to have her hosting today's session, and she has a lot of really great information to share today. So yeah, we're excited. Thank you again for being here. And today, what we're going to be going over again, how to organize and track your bids across every phase of pre-construction, right? So you have, your pre-bidding, you're doing your takeoffs and everything in the workflow, like how to keep track of everything in a way that's organized so that you can continue to scale and grow in an efficient way. And ultimately through that, making sure that none of your ITBs or any opportunities are slipping through the cracks. We want to make sure you guys are getting in every opportunity that you need, and ultimately, again, saving time by doing this, right? So every little piece that you can optimize in your workflow is going to save you time, right? And we all know time is money, and there's very little of it when you have so much going on. And so, where you can save time, in your workflow managing your projects, you'll be able to essentially bid more and win more. So that's the goal here. And what we're going to be doing is showing you within PlanHub the different tools that we have to make this possible. So we have our bid board, we have a bunch of productivity tools that really help you boost efficiency in your process. And then through these tools, your whole team is connected, which also helps your entire workflow flow seamlessly. So we have lots of good stuff on the docket today. Would love for you to stay the whole time. We have a Q&A at the end. And so if you do have any questions that come up while Jessica is presenting, there's a Q&A box on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to just drop questions right in there. If you have any comments, you can drop them in the chat. Feel free to connect with each other in the chat as well. We love bringing you guys together in one space to do that. And as always, if you're not registered for PlanHub, please register for PlanHub. It's free, and that's how you're going to get access to all these tools that she's going over today. So I will be in the chat with you guys. I'll drop links to sign up for PlanHub if you haven't already. I'll drop links to request demos so you can have a personalized one-on-one session with our team. And then, yeah, I'll catch you in the chat, you guys. And I will go ahead and pass it off to my girl, Jessica, and she's going to get us started.
All righty. So first, I just want to take a moment and thank all the contractors across the world, including everyone who's joined here, for the incredible work that you do to help keep our world growing and building. So thank you guys. We really appreciate it. And your hard work, especially as this winter time comes around. Bundle up, guys, if you're in one of those real cold weathers, because I'm out of Wyoming and it is cold here. So let's start with the challenges that contractors face in keeping their bid and project pipelines organized through the completion of a job, from bidding all the way through to completing and getting that payment. So here's a list of challenges that contractors commonly face on a daily basis when managing their pipeline. Typically, you're going to receive a bunch of ITBs every week. ITBs in PlanHub, we refer to those as invitations to bid, just in case you're not familiar with that terminology. Invitation to bid, it's kind of the same as request for proposal, right? So this flood of ITBs, if you're using any type of invitation system, whether it's PlanHubs or any other type, you're going to get tons of them constantly. Not every single one of them are going to align, and PlanHub does make it a little bit easier for you to work that out, but on a day-to-day basis, digging through those plans can be difficult. You're also going to have tight deadlines. Unfortunately, GCs do end up having really tight turnarounds based on what they're given by their clients. And you're going to have competing priorities, trying to figure out which project you should prioritize over the other based on the best opportunity, and prioritizing everything that's going on in the field at the same time with your crews. It can be difficult. Hard to track progress across multiple bids, figuring out what stage you've completed, how close you are to the bid submission, and if you're going to be on time, and if you've gone over all the addendums, reviewed every update, been aware of any type of information from the GC that they posted. It's hard to keep track of all this stuff, especially using multiple sites for your invitations. And then finally, things just falling through the cracks, not hitting your bid deadline and not being considered by the GC, or not getting something done in the field because your team wasn't aware of what needed to get done because you got too busy with getting your bids in, right? Things can ultimately fall through the cracks. It gets very stressful. So if this sounds familiar to you, between multiple invites, deadlines, and jobs in field, it's easy to lose track of each bid. These tools that we're going to go over today will help you keep things on track and organized. All right, so let's talk about the cost of disorganization. Losing bids to missing networking opportunities and missing follow-up timeframes does equal lost revenue as a business. Time spent chasing down files or following up on emails is time lost that could be used bidding work or bidding better work. All of this can cause stress and confusion for yourself and your team, slowing your efforts down and slowing down your growth. All right, we're going to do a quick poll. We're going to use the chat for the poll. How many bids are you managing right now? Do you know the answer to that question? That's one of the first challenges. And the second is just truly having an understanding of how many and what type of challenges you guys are facing on a day-to-day.
I love lost count. That's why we're here.
I saw 15, 9, 4, 7, 5 to 12 on a weekly basis, 20 or more, 2 dozen, 20 plus, as many as possible. Nice, Brand. It's a good approach. 10 on average per week, 10 or more. All right. Well, you guys are managing a lot, all the way from being a smaller crew, even having 3 bids a week. If you're a smaller company, that is so difficult to hit every single one of those bids every single week while still keeping everything else on track. So let's talk about how PlanHub's premier suite of tools can help simplify things and help everyone stay on track within your company. It all starts with managing your bid pipeline, that very beginning stage. Using PlanHub's bid board, you can organize all the projects you're bidding in one place and assign projects to stages that are preset and to team members. So you can have multiple users where everyone on the team can see what's going on. You can track progress automatically when they're PlanHub postings. Plus, you can import projects when they don't come from PlanHub and utilize this board to keep track of those as well with manual overrides. Easily collaborate with your team, staying organized and linking all the communication regarding a project in these early stages to that imported project or PlanHub project. It's easy to find that communication. It stays linked to the project. Everyone knows what's going on. You can even stick tasks in there as well. And then to add on to that, recently PlanHub took us a step further beyond the bidding stage of a project where we're actually helping you manage stuff in field as well. So we call this our jobs tool. You can easily convert any project that you've won into a job, which allows you to work simultaneously with the field app that we've produced with your crew in field. So they can all download the app. They can take pictures, proof of completion. You can assign work, track labor. You can assign individual breakdown tasks. So if you have something real specific that you have to ensure they completed and they need to upload a picture, they can. They have to go to the hardware store and pick up more materials because something happened. You can track that as well. And finally, you can even track when you receive your payments just based on how you build your tasks. All of this helps you save hours each week and lower your stress level. All right, guys, we're going to dive into the product. So I will be shifting my visual over to this screen. So just bear with me for a moment as I pause my share, because I am a multi-screen person. Couldn't do takeoff and estimation training without it. Okay. There we go. Get this back up and restart that screen share. Gianna, can you see it?
Yep, I can see it on the side.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to dive in. We're going to start with our bid board and our bid pipeline. So the bid pipeline serves as your team's bid control center, specifically bid control through won or lost, right? At a glance, you can very quickly see which projects your team has saved. That's this first column, which have been imported because they've been tagged as imported versus PlanHub postings, which are in the estimating stage, commonly your takeoff or your estimation portion, which projects are in the bidding stage, you're building your actual PDF templated bid, and which you've submitted the bids on, whether it's imported or it's the PlanHub posting. And then finally, as you identify wins and losses, you can move these, or if the GC for a PlanHub posting marks you as awarded within our system, we'll automatically move. Or if they mark you as lost, we'll automatically move it. With all of this, I want to start with the Activity Center. This is a newer function that I think even if you're a user of PlanHub, you're probably not aware of what this can do for you. Something that a lot of customers have asked for a while, and I was really excited when it rolled out. This gives you an activity feed of all your notifications across all the different projects, anything that a team member assigns to you. If you get a project saved to the board and a GC uploads something new for that project, bid due date changes, you get assigned stuff in field, you get invited to bid projects, it's all here. You can also see your personal activities from your team members. So you can see when team members assign something to you, you assign something to a team member. Someone started a takeoff within your team. This is a very helpful center to help you and your team stay on track. All right, so Activity Center first, then we've got our bid board. So we're going to start with how do I get stuff into the saved column of the bid board? Well, we'll look at the PlanHub projects first. We'll go to our project finder. For the PlanHub projects, you find in the finder utilizing the search tools, the active filters, the sorting orders, and your saved filter options. You can quickly add them to the bid board if you already know right off the bat, like, hey, we work lots of Burlingtons. I'm just going to save that to the bid board right off the bat. Anywhere that you see the star equals add this to my bid board. It also tells the GC that you're interested in their project, and it puts you on a short list for them. It's one of our lowest effort networking things that you can do as a subcontractor inside of PlanHub. I still recommend that you network with the GC directly. Call them, email them, get as close as you can to shaking their hand, right? Just like the old days before all these digital tools came out, walking on site and shaking someone's hand was the oldest way of networking, right? We still want to make those efforts, but this is a nice low effort. I'm just showing interest. I want to be on your short list for now. And you can always take this back, and I'll show you how to do that eventually. All right, next is your ITBs tab. Now, as you receive all the invites coming in on your projects, the ITBs tab, let me actually switch this over to my ITBs, will show a list of the projects that you've been invited to. Now, I turned this on just a few days ago, so we're seeing just a few days worth of invites at this point. But I've not gone through and said yes or no to any of these. This is a great place to keep track of my invites and how I'm going to respond to them. Responses build trust and communication with GCs. So it's as simple as clicking the star or clicking the not interested or archive icon here. By doing this, I'm saying, no, I'm not interested in this job, but hey, I am interested in the Adidas. It removes it from the list, so you no longer have to filter through it. And of course, your team members can see those activities so they can identify, hey, we declined this job. Okay. All users have the ability to also download the ITB Inbox app. This application allows you to respond to your ITBs, view the project, look at the files, download the files, connect with the general contractor on your phone rather than running it on the website. So that means that you guys can be on the go, maybe on a break at work, reviewing some ITBs. Maybe you're, driving to the next job site with your crew. Yeah, you're sitting in the passenger seat and you're going through your invites, right? Making sure that we're using the time that we have available to us to review stuff and make sure we're getting those best possible projects. By saving inside that app, it adds it into your team's pipeline. So any of our apps connects directly with our website integration with your users. All right, and then finally, we have our project details page. By entering any one of these projects, you're just going to click on the project name. And this is going to take you into what we call the project details page. It's essentially the posting from the general contractor. And in here, you'll see we have this little star. We also have a project checklist. If I click this little star, you'll see that number 1 will get checked off. Now been saved. I can at this point assign it to a team member, or I could go and do that inside my bid board. I'm already pre-qualified because I filled out my pre-qualification form on my PlanHub account, so this is automatically done. And then my next step in this basic checklist would be to submit a bid. So anywhere that you see the star attached to a project inside of PlanHub, click on it. That's how you save it. Let's move back to the bid board because there's one other method, and that's importing your other projects. So inside the bid board, you have this import project button. You can easily import your private and public postings that you're bidding outside of PlanHub. Allowing your team to keep track of all your projects in one place saves you time by no longer jumping around from site to site, trying to keep track of who's gotten what done. And with project assignments, you can avoid confusion on who's working on the project at any given stage. Now you'll notice in here that your minimum requirements are project name and project files. However, if you intend to keep track of like your bid turnaround with this particular GC, I do recommend filling out the additional details. Imported projects are always private, whether it's in the bid board or in the takeoff. We don't even see them on the back end. I have to impersonate an account if I have to assist someone with one of those. So feel free to fill out as much information as is helpful for you, not just today, but down the road. Once you've completed this, you'll go ahead and click import. If you don't have all the information, you can always edit these and add more information down the road as well. Okay. Let's see. We're going to move over to actually managing the pipeline. Now we know how to get stuff into it. How do I deal with all of this information, right? So first things first, assignment is relatively straightforward. I find the logo icon. Some of these, if they're not assigned, will just have a dotted circle with the little person icon in it. That's a very good indicator that no one's been assigned to this project yet. I'll click on it, click on who I'm assigning it to in my dropdown, and then assign. I can do this as a one-off to each individual project. I can also use bulk actions. So for bulk actions, I'm going to check off projects throughout any stages, and then use the bulk actions button up at the top. Here, I can remove these from the bid board. When I take this action to remove them from the bid board, I'm removing and archiving or just removing. So archiving would be also letting the GC know, hey, we're no longer interested in bidding this job. Remove only just pulls it out, so I'm no longer answering the ITB. When it comes to updating status, this will literally move these cards into whatever field you select. So if I were to update the status, we're going to say these are all estimating. You're going to see them all move into the estimating column. And then finally, we have, let me check some off again. We've got the assignment. This is where you can select multiple different projects to assign them to one user. Now, let's say you have a team member who's going to do the review and the takeoff, right, for a given project, and then you're going to have a team member who's going to build the bid and submit it to the GC, right? I can go through, check all this off in bulk, and assign it to the team member that does this process. They now can filter their board to see only the stuff assigned to them. So this means that each of your users can very quickly narrow in what they're looking at and target the most important projects based on the bid date, who it's been assigned to, and where the project is coming from. So if you want to target those projects that are outside of PlanHub, then do the inside of PlanHub focus, you can do that. Finally, I can also do just a blanket search. Maybe I want to find all the auto zones that are on our board. I can throw a search in. I'll hit up all the auto zones that have been added to the board thus far, seeing which ones are currently due for bidding, which ones have been won and lost. Okay, and then finally, you do have a sort order option where you can flip the sorting order and the sort reason. So we can sort by bid due date or by the date that it was saved onto the board, and then I can flip the direction using this little icon right here. Okay. Oh, one more thing, actually, really cool feature that does it's gonna add down the road to your dashboard. It's not quite available yet, but this is a nice feature to help you guys track your potential projects and what that looks like for your pricing. So it's the value, bid value. Now, when a GC posts a project, they'll post the project, and if they include a project value, that project value is a reflection of their price, right? They're not putting here's the project value specifically for the drywaller, or here's the project value specifically for the concrete guy. They're going to put the overall project value. You, as a subcontractor, that value is not equal to what you would make off the project, right? So you can include an expected bid value right here. Doing this at the top of each of these columns helps you understand how much money you have in each of your potential pipelines, right? All the way out to the one pipe. So this can help you just keep a nice broad overview of what you've got potentially coming in and what you actually have won. Okay, so now we're going to dive into the project details page, and then we will touch on my favorite new tool, which is TrackBid. Okay, so project details page. Let's grab a nice PlanHub project. We've already talked a little bit about this project checklist. It's a very broad overview of like the basics that you got to do in order to prepare to submit a bid, right? Excuse me. Now, when we talk about how does your team communicate inside each project, keeping things organized so that you not only are linked to the project, but it's really easy for you to be like, you've gotten this very specific detail because this project's unique. It's different than any other project, right? Completed. Well, we have what's called the workspace. Every single project, every single GC profile has this workspace functionality. In the workspace, first off, this is completely private to your team. Your team can add notes. Let's throw one in here. These notes are visible to your team members. No one outside your company will see them. This is a great way to just be like reviewing this or reaching out to the GC because we're missing this information. That's why it hasn't moved to the next step, whatever it happens to be, right? I've made my networking effort, confirming that you've made an effort to connect with the GC. Next is tasks. This is true task assignment. Your team members, when you assign tasks or you create a task for yourself, you're going to get notifications both inside of the activity center that we went over towards the beginning, but also you're going to get emails. So that way you don't forget, right? You know that you have something that has to be completed. So we're going to go ahead and throw a task in here. We're going to click create, and we're going to set a due date. We'll set it for today, and we're going to assign it to me. So once I've completed this task, I just check it off. It's still visible, and my team members can see it. And if I need to take that check off back, if I do it on accident, I can always take it back, right? As you see this list, and as a delegator, if you're trying to get your team to follow a pretty consistent process so that you have more reliable data to turn back to down the road and see how you've grown and what maybe you can improve or change, this is a really great way for you to just quickly build out some tasks lists of like every single project, I'm going to make these minimum efforts that I'm going to bid in order to potentially win that job. And then finally, you may have documentation that you want associated with this project, but you might not want it to be like posted, right? This could be your bid form. If you're negotiating with the GC, this could be versions of the contract. This could just be your guys' PNG of your takeoff or your PDF that you pulled out of your takeoff tool and stuck it in here, right? This document center, again, completely private. You don't need to stress about anyone else seeing it, but it does put all those documents tied to that project moving forward so that you don't have to worry about losing them in the future. Okay, next up is the general contractors. This is where you're going to identify the GCs that are bidding this particular job, part of that networking effort, right? You can follow them. This is a great way to keep that communication loop going, make sure that you're able to target their projects in the future, and you can reach out to them using the contact details. Let's go ahead and talk about bid submission. So in here, we can go ahead and click place bid, or if we're in the project info, we can click submit bid. With everything you have to juggle, it's easy to forget about a bid after it's been submitted. But it is best practice to track the bid and continue your networking and follow-up efforts with the GC beyond the bid submission. Just dropping the bid and then being like, okay, fingers crossed they choose me with no questions, no communication, right? It's not super common. Even if you're working in residential, the clients are going to have questions for you. They're going to have some type of follow-up before they say, yep, you're hired, right? So let's move over to the bid board and see how we can keep track of all this stuff and make sure that we're doing that follow-up work and see how PlanHub has automated some of that for you. So in the submitted column of your bid board, once you have submitted a bid inside of PlanHub on one of the PlanHub postings, you can use the track bid button. This is going to slide out a panel, and you can see here, this project got moved to awarded. I have the opportunity to ask for feedback, and this feedback, hey, why did I win the bid? What about my bid was winning to you, right? Helping me understand how I can continue doing those positive actions in the future. If I have more than one trade that I bid, I can select the different trades. Moving to the next project in here, this one's under submitted. This means that the GC has not opened my bid in PlanHub. So they haven't gone in to review it in PlanHub. It's not under consideration as far as PlanHub can track, right? But let's say the GC did it in their email, because when you bid in PlanHub, it's in PlanHub, but it's also in an email to the GC. You get copied in it, right? So we're covering both those bases. And the GC reaches out to you and they say, hey, we're reviewing your bid, or it's under consideration. You have some type of communication with them and they've updated you. You can grab this and just move it to a new section very easily. If you want to ask them for some feedback on the bid at this point, you could go ahead and send this request by clicking on the folder. Or let's say you lost the bid, right? I would always, every time I get confirmation that I lost that bid, I would be asking for feedback. What about my bid made me not win? Is it not detailed enough? Was my price too high? Was my price too low? Right? Did that make them a little nervous by my price being so low? That feedback can really help you grow as a business. Any feedback that's provided within PlanHub is listed over here. Now, many of the long-term PlanHub users know that a year ago, even 6 months ago, GCs did not have the ability to award within our system. Now they have the ability to award and notify the subcontractor in PlanHub. So we are constantly working to improve and better your experience and build those nice, good connections with GCs. Okay. Let's see. Let me go and look at this one again, because there's one other aspect that I like to point out. So we've got the GC name right here. When I click on it, nothing really happens there. I want to actually go see what my win rates look like with this GC specifically. So I'm actually going to open up the project itself. I'm going to go to, let me hop back. That didn't do what I expected. We'll jump in. I know this is the same GC. I actually populated these. You should be able to jump into the project itself, but it's not allowing me to. So I apologize, guys. I'm going to have to put in a ticket for that. Maybe it'll let me get in this one. There we go. We're going to go to the general contractor profile, and we're going to click on the general contractor company name, right? So this particular area is tied to the network tool that you can add. And in here, you can track your bid analytics. So I can see that I have a 40% win rate with this GC. I've been awarded 2 bids. I've submitted 5. And I can see, hey, I use the bid builder PlanHub bid creation tool for some of these. And then my heavy duty concrete right here, I won that one out of my own template. As I scroll down, I can see my feedback stats as well. The main feedback I've gotten so far is that I'm missing a scope of work on one of these. So I want to make sure that I'm including a full scope of work when I'm submitting my bids. It's a very powerful tool for you to help you grow as a subcontractor. And as you can see, there's a workspace. Again, nice private place for you to put notes about your relationship with this GC so your team members can stay in the loop. I would say as a user, you should be checking the workspace if anything has been assigned to you, or if you're doing any kind of connection work with the GC before you start your work. It'll help you stay on track, stay informed with your team. Now, for your imported projects, when you're ready to bid those, you'll submit your bid externally in the system that you are, whether that's via email, another bid site, on a government site, whatever it happens to be, right? You'll go and submit that externally. Then you're going to go ahead and utilize this functionality of just left clicking and dragging to get that project into the column that it needs to live. So if it's submitted, we stick it under submitted. Because we cannot track other websites activity, the track bid isn't in here right now. But you can grab this and move it over to the one column, and it will prompt you in that process to convert it to a job. If you move a PlanHub project into the one column, it's going to prompt you to identify what you bid, how much you bid, and which GC awarded you. Now that we have an understanding of how to track our bids inside of PlanHub, that covers the first half of the challenge, right? Finding the right projects, bidding the right projects, keeping track of all of that, being aware of updates and notifications when we save projects, that covers that. And then keeping the assignment and who's doing what nice and clear. Next, let's talk about how we utilize the jobs tool in tandem with our bid tracking and our networking efforts to close that loop out. So inside your bid board, you can take any project, and this is where, especially when we're talking about those imported projects, putting all the information in, right, can be very helpful, because I can take this job and convert it right off the bat. It's going to auto-populate with anything from the original project in PlanHub, whether that was imported or a PlanHub posting. Now you have the opportunity to make any adjustments you need to make. Client info, that would be the general contractor in this case. I'm fine with leaving this information in here. Project name, project value. So this is what we finally landed on in our pricing, right? So we'll just throw a nice number in here. I can edit the description. Maybe I want this description for my team to say this project calls for 4 rooms of drywall, 1 being a bathroom with concrete, right? Or whatever it needs to be, depending on what it is we are bidding. But I can edit this so that it's easy for my team to very quickly identify what's going on. Estimated completion and start date. This helps your team, this rules what they see in their field app when they're actually looking at it, and helps identify how long it's going to take for you to complete a job. We're going to go ahead and say our start date is, no, we're not going to go that close to Thanksgiving. We'll say the 24th. And our estimated completion date, we'll say we want to get this done before the end of the year. So we'll throw it on to the 30th. This is where I start assigning team members. All my registered users in here will be able to be assigned. The pending users, I wouldn't recommend assigning because they won't be able to access it until they complete their registration. So I'll say Keisha, Zach, Jessica, and Alicia. Square footage, this is where I can put in my square footage based on the work that I'm performing, or the whole project, building square footage, whatever best aligns with your needs. And then as we move through, you can assign tags. These are a great place for you to say, hey, this is a drywall job. We're also going to do paint. And we're going to do some framing. So we're going to do frame, hang, mud finish, right? Sand finish, and paint it. So we're going to do the walls essentially on the interior of the building. I can upload additional documents. This could be the contract with the general contractor, the signed finalized agreement. This could be our signed finalized billing agreement, right? Because sometimes scope of work, billing agreement, they kind of get mixed up. GCs will have their own billing cycles. You'll have your own billing cycles. You have to come to some type of agreement there as two separate businesses. Anything that you need to essentially stick in here, you can. If you have warranties that you want to attach to this job so you can easily provide it to the client, this is a great place to put it. If you're a roofer and you're a certified installer, right, for a particular brand, great place to put those warranty details. And then finally, one of my favorite aspects is the milestones, because there's a lot of tooling buried inside these milestones. Once you create a milestone, this could be site prep. When you expect them to start this, we'll say the 25th. Nope, we'll say the 24th because we said the 24th is our start date. And they should have this completed by the 25th. Give a description, clearing away any bumps or concrete spots, making sure the site is ready for your framers to come in, making sure you have all the product on site, all the things that can slow your team down, right? Throw some tasks in there. We'll do product on site as a task. These tasks will be assigned to the people you assign to this milestone. And we'll say layout the sites so we know where our walls are going, right? Those will be our first tasks. I don't expect them to spend the whole day on the job site this day. They have other jobs they're going to be working. This is just one of the things they do tomorrow or on Monday type of thing. Material, if I expect them to purchase stuff and prepare for this, then I'll throw that in. But they get to add their own stuff here, right? So if they have to go and purchase more pins for the foundation to attach that your top and bottom plates to the concrete, they can call that out here. You got to get more screws, more drywall, more mud, more tape, more paint, more brushes. They can log all of that cost so that you have tracking attached to the individual job, especially if you have to bump up the cost because there was some type of like, I can't think of the name, a change order. You get a change order from the GC, right? So this is a great place for your team to keep track of those actual material costs. And then we have assigned team members. This is where I would assign team members to this particular milestone. I'm only going to have 2 people on this milestone for the site prep. And I'll go ahead and click add milestone. And then I would add the next step. This would be the actual framing, complete all of the framing for the entirety of the project. Next milestone, hang all of the drywall. Next milestone, get the first coat and sand it or finish, right? Mud to finish. Next milestone, your paint, guys. Final milestone, walk through, confirm of payment, confirmation of approval of payment, right? This could be assigned to both in field and in office. So everybody has their own assignments. It's very easy to track. They go into their app when they're in field, log their hours, take pictures so you can easily share that picture over to the GC or the client, showing proof of completion or the progress on the project at that time. Honestly, this functionality, it's one of the coolest things I think we've produced in a while. I don't know about you, but I hear a lot from, let me go ahead and trash can this guy, from contractors once they see this and they go, I'm so sick of having 15 different messaging apps for all my guys to communicate with me. This will save me so much effort just on the messaging because we have chats attached to each of them. In your job board, you also have statuses: due, in progress, in review, and completed. You can switch this over to a list view. This is closer to the way the app interacts, but the app will have daily assignments based on the estimated start and completion date and what's been put under their name. You can change these up. This isn't locked in. You can always go into the AutoZone and say, you know what? Let's go ahead and view these milestones. I'm going to edit this one. And I'm going to, in here, make a change to the task or the material or the labor, or I'm going to upload some images, right, that have been provided. You can see here, I've provided some images as an example. I can track how many hours people have spent and any material costs that they incurred or we as a business incurred on this particular job in order to complete it. You can track your team, your documents, and you can utilize the chat function. Left click and drag to move things into new positions or edit them within the actual job. All right, guys. I want to thank you for letting me present. I'm going to move back over to my slide deck. Okay. So why visibility matters in bidding, kind of a synopsis of everything we just went over, because there was a lot of information really, really quickly. You need to connect your workflows, what that boils down to stay organized. Your ITBs, moving into the bid, moving to awarded, moving to construction, and all the way through completion. It's trackable, it's in one place, all your documents are connected. It's easy to refer back if you ever have back and forth with your clients. You need to be able to track who's done what within a given project, so that workspace comes in handy. Centralizing your communication with your team, so you're not doing text, Slack, email, WhatsApp, all over the place with no like one centralized place for all of the communication. And ultimately, this keeps your team organized and focused instead of feeling confused or like they forgot about something because they didn't look at that notification yet today. Moving that into your job board, keeping your team on track, infilled, being aware of all your documents, your material costs, chatting with your team, and sharing digital media back and forth so you have proof of completion, proof of existing site problems. That's going to affect your bid, right? Like if stuff isn't done when you show up on site where there's like real messed up base for your flooring for you in order to you to install the flooring, or maybe the framing isn't fully completed and the electricians are like, hey man, I mean, I can run it, but I'm going to get in your framer's way, you know? So all of this kind of stuff comes in handy long term, helps your team stay on track and keeps you covered as a business. So organize and track every bid, ensure ITBs don't slip through the cracks, and save time managing everything in one place, keeping your team organized and informed. Okay. If you're ready, go ahead. I'll hand this off to Deanna.
Yeah, no, Jessica, that was amazing. You're so thorough, and I feel like I learned some things too. I'm like, wow, we have some new features I did not know about. You guys, thank you so much for being here. We're going to go into questions in just a minute, but just want to give you just a quick reminder. If you are already registered at PlanHub, you can log in and have access to these tools depending on your plan. If you are not on PlanHub yet, you can sign up for free now. We have a 2-week trial for any companies that haven't previously registered with us. So you can get in there, take all the tools that Jessica just showed us for a spin, and see how much value they bring to your team and how much time that it can save you. And you can also schedule one-on-one demos with our team as well. So if you want to have that like one-on-one personalized, demo session, so you can ask specific questions based on your business, it's really great, and our team, is happy to do it. And so we will be sending you all these links afterwards. I'll also be sending the recording to this webinar as well as the slides, so you guys have everything that you'll need to basically take all the information that you've got from this session today and really just put it into place going into the new year with a workflow that's optimized like this is really going to help your business. So, yeah, we're just very grateful that you're here today and hope that this was so helpful for you. We got a few questions in the chat, Jess. So it looks like we have about 10 minutes to answer those. If you do have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or the QA box, and I will have Jessica answer them for us. So let's go ahead and start with the first question that we got, Jessica. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm just going to throw it your way and see if we have the answer for it. So they asked, what do you do when there are duplicate jobs that are from the same project? I recently had 3 of the same project and couldn't move takeoff over. Any insight on that?
So if you started the takeoff on one and you identified that there's multiple, and this is all inside of PlanHub, reach out to us. We will get it fixed. Our support team is rapid. We're pretty quick and we're happy to help fix that. We actually, the only time we would not merge get those all into one job for you so you can work the takeoff and like submit your bid and all that under one posting to all the different GCs. The only time we wouldn't do that is if one of the GCs posted their project is private, meaning that they are like, they locked in who gets to see it. And it's like only those that get the invite. No one else will be ever able to access. So you saw those private jobs on my listing. That was from my demo GC account. Those are very much locked down projects. GCs pay money to get that access quite a bit.
Perfect. Okay, so hopefully that answers your guys' question there. All right, so moving on. So, so this question came in from Carrie while you were showing us the like just quick follow-up that we send out. They can just click the folder and it sends follow-up. She had asked, how do I see the verbiage in the message that you sent and can I edit it?
I will actually, Tiana, I'll send you out a version of that
Okay.
because so you're not able to edit it currently, but that is something that our product team is discussing because this is such a new feature. Like literally, it's so new, guys. Like, so many people don't even realize that it exists and is a thing that you can use. Because the follow-up work, I mean, honestly, before we had that, I worked directly as a account manager for years, and that was the hardest thing to remember to do is get that
Mhm.
follow-up in and like remember to handle those, like to touch base on those bids that because once you submit the bid, you're like, okay, moving on. Right. Which I get. I would do the same thing. I'd be like, okay, next thing.
Yep, on to the next.
Difference. And then I'll share it out to you, Tiana. And then if you want, you can add it as a PDF to the follow-up email.
Yeah, I can totally do that, no problem. Awesome. Thank you for that. Another question we got is there a calendar icon to click on too so you can see all the tasks due for a particular day?
Not currently, not inside of your activity. That the activity function came out when actually after the track bid. It's real new. So the fact that you can see everything from your team and everything directly to you, super new. But I'll share that over with product because it's so new. It means they're probably going to do some follow-up work for further improvements. And a calendar would be nice, like, or even the ability to just, I don't know, I get ideas. Syncing it with Google or something, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, I was just thinking our product team would probably love to hear that because they're always wanting to, hear from our community, like how can we, improve on what we've already built. So yes, we will definitely pass it over to the product team for consideration. Okay, it looks like we have just one more. So somebody asked, what exactly is the difference between estimating and bidding?
Okay, so estimating, this is actually kind of a thing. So I'll get into, I actually talk about this every day because I teach people about takeoff and estimation. Takeoff is the measurement portion, right? Measuring out the blueprints, figuring out how much you need of like stuff, right? Based on square footage, just getting that square footage, that linear footage value or count value. Estimation is taking that number and working up your full material breakdown, your labor breakdown, your adjusted rates for like your labor burden, your overhead and profit, right? That's a task in and of itself. Bidding is taking that information, turning it into something nice and pretty and presentable. Maybe you don't expose your overhead and profit to a GC, right? Like you don't want them to try and negotiate you on that percentage. Same thing with your, labor burden. They're going to have to carry that. Like you don't want them to see it. So it's taking that, making sure that you're getting the right price, turning it into a nice, beautiful PDF bid using our bid builder tool as well as an option. I personally prefer beautiful PDF templates. I think they're the best. They're more customizable for you as a subcontractor. You can put all your inclusions, your exclusions, your scope of work, your expiration, all that stuff, and the expectations essentially, what the job site should be when you get on site for this price to be accurate.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Okay, hopefully that answered your question, Nick. Thanks for submitting that over to us. And I also want to just point out that Nick also said to anyone on the fence, we won our first bid during a trial period, so it's worth a try. We love hearing this. Congrats.
It's great. Fantastic.
But that is the power. That is truly the power. We give you a couple of weeks, in that trial period to really feel things out, so take advantage, like set some time aside to really invest some energy and effort into really seeing like how this can fit in your business and like start putting bids out there. Cause like we just saw Nick, won that first bid in the trial period. So there's so much value in our tool. And yeah, we hope you guys will get in there and take advantage. And yeah, thank you again so much for being here, you guys. We appreciate it. We do have another webinar to close out the year next month. We're doing another takeoff masterclass with Greg, specifically for roofing. So I'll also send that link to you guys as well if you're interested in attending. But if we don't see you until then, have a happy Thanksgiving, and I will be sending out all the resources after we conclude here, and we're here to help. So reach out to us if you need us. Thank you, Jessica, so much for another amazing knowledge-filled webinar. We're so grateful. And yeah, we hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you guys. We appreciate your time. Thanks for
Yes,
doing.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.